Hey, and welcome back. I had a request for a more detailed video on how to do the cleaning of the cartridges. So let me review real quick what we're going to try and do here, and then we'll get started, and we're going to have to time lapse this over some time because it takes a little time to soak these, but I'll show you from start to finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and take these cartridges. These are green smoke cartridges, and these are blue cartridges, and we're going to try to clean them, the coils inside of them, to make them work better and go even longer. The coils look like this on the inside. And what we're going to attempt to do is reach down in there with a scrubbing kind of tool and do something like this. Scrub both sides of the coil. This is a very delicate operation. It takes a little practice, and you may actually damage a coil or two till you get the hang of it. But let's go ahead and show you how I do this. Oh, by the way, you can use a pipe cleaner also. And this coil sits in the tank somewhere about right here, like this. And if you look very carefully down the top, you can see them. So we're going to start by, I'm using regular white vinegar. I'm just going to put enough in here to submerge the coils. I like to use white vinegar because it actually disinfects the coils, and it does the tanks, and it does a better job of cleaning the coils in the long run. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and we'll come back later, and I'll show you how what this looks like as it goes through time. Okay, we're checking in. It's about an hour later. As you can see, the existing e-juice in the cartridges has started to come out into the vinegar. Usually what I do at about this point is I do not make a mess all over the table, but I do give it a little stir like this to try and move the vinegar around and clean it out. This is a lot of cartridges for the amount of vinegar I have in here. So what I may do is swap out the vinegar for clean vinegar. So I think I'm going to do that now. Okay, now it's been another hour since I put this clean vinegar in here, and you can see it's already gotten some more out of there. So at this point, usually I let them sit longer until all of the e-juices come out of it. But at this point, I think I'll go ahead and show you how it's done, and then we'll close wrap up the video. So what I do is I take out a cartridge, and you see this one is not draining, so it's not completely clean yet. Usually what will happen is when they're clean, they'll drain out, but this one is not draining. So let me go ahead and grab a different one. There we go. As you can see, these two drain pretty quickly. This one's not thoroughly cleaned either, but it was pretty nasty when I put it in there. So let me go ahead and go with this one. And then what you want to do, I use either, these are Proxel brushes, or you can use a pipe cleaner. Now, these fatter pipe cleaners like this one don't work as well. In fact, sometimes they damage the cartridges, but I'll show you real quick how it works. What I do is I dip in the vinegar, and then I stick it in, and you can feel it hit the coil, and then I just gently scrub the coil. Now, I don't want to use these because they've damaged my cartridge. You can see it came out pretty dirty there. They've damaged my cartridges in the past. I much prefer these Proxel brushes, which are a little harder to come by. Dip them in the vinegar, and then what you want to do is pull it in and out, and you're basically cleaning the cartridge This one was already pretty clean. If you can get both sides of the coil without bending the coil, you have to be very careful not to bend the coil by pushing down on it. Basically, what I'm doing is, with our demonstration here, I'm trying to come down the hole and scrub on one side of the cartridge like this, and remember there is that plastic plug in there, and then scrub on the other side of the cartridge. It's very difficult to do. When you push down, a lot of times you're going to hit the coil dead on the top like this, and if you push really hard, you'll break the coil. So you have to delicately kind of push the brush down in a couple times until you'll feel it'll give and go past it. And I also like these brushes because if I can push it down in there till the very end of the brush, I know I've gone in as far as I want to go. When I use these pipe cleaners, it's easy to go all the way to the bottom. What happens with the pipe cleaners is if it goes all the way to the bottom, sometimes it gets stuck in here and it pulls this whole assembly out, like this one. So let's go ahead and grab another one and I'll show you. This one drained out pretty good, so let's go ahead and I'll show you one more time. What'll happen is if they're dirty, you poke around in there and gently push past it. And if they're dirty, when they come out, they'll come out dark like this. Now I do have vinegar on it already. Let's go ahead and you can see that's pretty clean now. Stick it in there one more time like this. And I'm just working it around and I pull it out and you can see it's definitely dark. And what you're doing is you're breaking off the crusted, if you look very carefully here on this example, it actually crusts up on this coil, and what you're doing is scrubbing this like this. And you're scraping off the crusties on the coil. Now, this can extend the life of the coil or it can break the coil, so it's kind of a 50-50 shot on it. You have to practice on a couple of them. Once you get good at it, it'll be pretty easy to clean your coils out. One other problem with it is that when you put this brush down in there, it has a tendency to bend the coil and move the coil out of place. And this one happens to be broken, but it'll actually warp the coil inside here and make it have like a little crescent moon shape and push it against the edge of the coil, the edge of the tank. And when it does that, it tends not to work as well as when it's straight across. Unfortunately, I have no good fixes for that. What you can attempt to do very gently is use a toothpick, reach down in there and push the coil back into place. But again, that's very difficult. It takes a lot of practice and you end up breaking coils if you do that. So we'll just leave this hack up to you at this point. What I tend to do after I've scrubbed them is take them, put them back in the vinegar, give them a quick swirl, pour off the vinegar and soak them in hot water. Hot water is the final step. It actually gets the vinegar out of the tanks. That's very important. Don't leave the vinegar in the tanks. And then after you've soaked them in hot water for a little bit to get the vinegar out, then you use the technique from the other video to spin them dry, or what you can do is shake them. Let me try and give you an example. What you can do is shake out the vinegar like this into a sink, and then once you've given them a lot of shakes and they're kind of got most of the vinegar out, you can let them dry overnight. So that's really it for this, and I'll go ahead and show you real quick on, I'll do one more while we're wrapping up. These are green smoke tanks. I really like the green smoke tanks. These you can use a pipe cleaner if you want. Let's see, I'm trying to carefully find the opening. There we go, and just a little bit past where the coil is, and you can see, ooh, that one came out pretty dark. Let's go ahead and rinse it off and I'll show you what I mean again. There we go. Notice I'm spinning the tank around till I find the opening. And again, this one came out pretty dirty. But I much prefer these inner dent brushes because they are the perfect size and width. Yep, so that comes out pretty dirty. Let's go ahead and clean that and I'll do it again. And you can do the scrubbing technique a couple times. Oop, got to be careful not to break the coil. Yep, comes out pretty dirty again. And you can keep doing that until it comes out clean. And in some cases, like these, this particular tank, I used a really dark e-juice in, so it's probably pretty cruddy inside there. But that's basically it. And then, like I said, rinse with clean water until you get all the vinegar out. And I'm going to go ahead and do this for the remainder of my tanks. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. I'll do the best I can to answer them. It is kind of a delicate operation. I do not necessarily recommend you do this. But if you want to extend the lives of your tanks and get more out of them, this is how I do it. There you go. Now it's coming out kind of clean. So that's where I would stop on that one. Good luck on trying this yourself.